Goder dagen alla snälla och glada människor där ute. För det är ni väl? Jag hoppas det i alla fall. Jag skulle vilja vara det, men det är inte alltid så lätt att faktiskt leva upp till det där. I 50 år så har jag faktiskt trott på lagen och på rättsväsendet. Den här med justitia, fru justitia du vet, som står där med den här vågen i ena handen, bindel för ögonen. Därför att rättvisa och lag, det ska gälla lika för alla och överallt. Gör det det? Det finns sådana exempel runt hela världen ständigt på det här med rättsskipning och lagboken. Lagböckerna som i de flesta fallen också runt världen är mycket väl skrivna och bra innehåll. Men det är människan som alltså missbrukar dem. Det är ganska märkligt. Här i Sverige så har vi ju en ren politisering i domstolar. Vi ser politisk domstolsaktivism. Vi har pratat mycket om det, jag ska inte gå in på det nu. Men att man tillåter att någon form av missfoster får härja fritt med diverse obskyra okynnesstämningar och anmälningar och dessutom låter det passera genom Sveriges domstolar som enbart ett sätt att berika sig själv på. Det är skamligt. Naturligtvis så ska jag fortsätta och granska granskaren. Det kan du vara ganska helt övertygad och säker om. 5 avsnitt har det blivit hittills. Jag sitter och filar på det 6:e. Det kommer också att bli stort. Därför det var en ännu större samling papper som det blev. Men jag tror att det kan bli ganska intressant. Därför då börjar vi komma in på det här med ekonomi. Och det är väl det som är den främsta drivkraften där. Nu idag så ska jag ha ett nytt litet avsnitt med de här duktiga från Redacted. Och det de tar upp är faktiskt ganska otroligt. Bara en kort liten resumé innan. Alla minns det här som hände den 6 januari i USA när det blev full kalabalik runt Kapitolium. Där då folk demonstrerade för att de tyckte att någonting hade hänt i den här valprocessen. Presidenten Trump, som han var ju president fortfarande den 6 januari, han sa det, protestera men gör det lugnt. Detta är någonting som alla ställer upp på rent sakligt, därför att du har demonstrations- och yttrandefrihet även i USA. Även där som här tydligen mest på pappret. Innan det här hade blivit full kalabalik, om det nu var full kalabalik, hur ligger det till med det? Ja, det har ju hänt saker och ting efter det. Innan det hände så hade han sagt till den här, ja jag vet inte vad man ska kalla den här människan. Vi har ju strandhällar och lövar och maggor och annat i vårt eget land som ju vi inte mår så bra av att se och lyssna på. Men den här Nancy Pelosi i USA, den för detta talmannen, något vidrigare i politikerväg har jag väl aldrig sett. Jag kan inte påminna mig, nästan runt hela världen. Hon sitter där och viftar med sina knotiga mumiefingrar och ska läxa upp alla och är en despot, en galning. Så sitter och river sönder State of the Union-talet som president Trump hade hållit året innan. Hon river sönder det inför kamerorna. Det är alltså ett dokument som ska bevaras till eftervärlden. Och hon hamnar inte i finkarna, där händer ingenting. Nu håller man ju på att lagvägen så ska man ju se till att Trump inte ska kunna ställa upp i valet igen. Och till det så tar man till vilka grepp som helst. Det är makalöst vad man gör. En liten åklagare i New York som håller på med ett ärende som är preskriberat. Jag fattar inte den amerikanska lagstiftningen. Om det är preskriberat så är det preskriberat. Ska man inte kunna väcka liv i det. Men han är ju då i färd med, jag vet inte hur det har gått när det här spelas in, så vill han ju då se till att gripa Trump för att få bilder då med Trump i handbojor och så vidare. De är så korkade de här vänsteraktivisterna så de förstår inte vad ordet martyr betyder. Därför att om det är någonting som skulle hjälpa Trump att vinna valet 2024 så är det just att hans fiender ger sig på dem på det här sättet. Men det har varit det ena och en det andra. Samtidigt så visar ju nu undersökningar att det har ramlat fram 13 konton på den här Biden-familjen med direkta miljontals dollars överföringar ifrån Kina till var? Jo, till Bidén-familjen. Har det varit några husrannsakningar i deras hem? Har det varit någon som har pratat om utskottsförhör och som det är gripande under undersökningen? Nej. Därför det är vänsterns uttolkningar utav lagen. Det är skrämmande. Och tar vi nu den här 6 januari då, som ju naturligtvis, det var inte bra. De skulle inte varit där innesprunget. Men jag fick ju se en hel del sådana här klipp runt på olika kanaler. Och det som man direkt reagerade för, det var ju att de här Kapitoliumpoliserna, de öppnade ju grindar, de öppnade dörrar, de stod och viftade in folk, där, ja hit ska du gå, nej inte den, här vill du gå och så vidare. De leddes runt. När nu den nya talmannen tillträdde så släppte han all videofilm till Fox News och Tucker Carlson. Det finns också andra som har fått det, till exempel de här Redacted har tydligen de här timmarna. 44 000 timmar videotape. Ja, de har inte varit där i 44 000 timmar utan det är naturligtvis en sjuhelsikes massa kameror som sammanlagt gör att det är 44 000 timmar. Det skulle ta alla dagar i veckan, 8 timmars arbetsdag i, 13 år för att du ska kunna se igenom allt det här. Men då har ju Tucker Carlson som den tv-journalist han är, så har han ju naturligtvis lagt ut en del av det som är intressant. Bland annat så sades det då att en polisman hade dödats, inte en utan 5 polismän hade dödats under de här kravallerna. Sanningen är att ingen polisman hade dödats, inte någon. Däremot så hade någon, förmodligen polis, skjutit bakifrån en protesterande kvinna som var där obeväpnad, skjutit henne i nacken, i huvudet och hon hade avlidit. Hon var också en krigsveteran, militärveteran. Oskyldig. Bara avrättades. Vad hörde du talas om att det blev några efterföljder på det? Nej, inte någonting alls. Det är bara passera förbi. Lite svint man räknar med. Nu när det här kommer ut så ser man på de här filmbilderna hur den där polismannen som påstås vara ihjälslagen, hur han går omkring i högönsklig välmåga. Du får också se bilder på, jag har sett allt det här nu som Tucker Carlson har gjort program om och mer tydligen kommer. Fast i USA så står det alltså upp de här sossarna, den här vänstern, de så kallade demokraterna, så står de upp representerade av den vidrigaste och vidriga Chuck Schumer, som är en avskyvärd människa, som står upp och säger det att det slutar det här. Han uppmanar en ägare till Fox News att se till att du får stopp på det där. Att det inte är att det inte är tondöns vrål av protester över ett sådant beteende. Jag tror inte ens i Sverige, och det vill inte säga lite, jag tror inte ens i Sverige att Maggan och de andra skulle säga till tv-bolagen att ta bort, skicka inte det där. Nu gör de ju det med SVT och Statsrevisionen ändå. Eftersom de ju sitter utanför bild i samma badtunna och kuckelurar och bestämmer hur saker och ting ska skötas. Exempelvis hur man inte i Sverige får visa vissa Kalle Anka-filmer. Jag tror att du har sett den, jag vet inte om jag har skickat ut den när det här går. En Kalle Anka, en liten gammal tecknad Kalle Anka-film som får gå på YouTube om den inte är i Sverige. Du kan se den i övriga världen men du kan inte se den i Sverige. Så vi har vår censur också. Men nog väl om detta. Jag tror att du kommer få ganska klart för dig vad Redacted berättar om när det spelas upp här. Det de redogör för är, det är makalöst. Det här, är detta rättsväsende? Är detta vad rättsväsendet är till för? Det sitter alltså, jag trodde aldrig jag skulle behöva ta det i min mun. Det sitter rena politiska fångar i amerikanska fängelser sedan ett par år tillbaka och ruttnar bort. I USA. Det rättfärdigas rike. Här minsann, oj. Här är det rättvisa och lika för alla. I New York, som är vänsterslabbområdesstad som håller på att falla sönder. Överallt där vänster drar fram, där faller saker och ting sönder. Det går sönder, det blir bara sopor kvar. Det finns en organisation som heter Amnesty. De slår sig för bröstet om att de är ute i Afrika och i andra länder och ska fria människor som sitter oskyldiga. Jaha du. Amnesty, vad har ni sagt om de här människorna som är inlåsta i källarna efter de här protesterna runt 6 januari? Som kanske har slagit sönder en ruta. Får man inte göra. Men 2,5 år fängelse. Eller den här snubben som gick omkring och såg ut som någon, jag vet inte vad. Någon shaman, någon sån här, ni vet han med horn och hade någon stav i näven. Han gick runt där och spelade teater. Ja, det fick han väl inte göra kanske. Men 4 års fängelse. För han sitter på 4 år och ruttar. Är det schysst? Är det rättvist? Har han haft ihjäl någon? Nej, i Sverige där skjuter du en 3-barnsfar och får 2 år. I USA så går du runt med en maskeraddräkt och får 4 år. Förstår du vad jag menar det här med rättsväsendet och rättssystemet? Det är åt helsike, och inte bara i Sverige utan också i det landet som jag faktiskt i många år kanske förleddes, kanske lurades till att tro var frihetens hemvist på vår jord. När jag var i unga år så var jag den första att argumentera om att när det diskuteras detta med demonstrationsfriheter och framförallt yttrandefriheter, så åk till USA så ska du få se riktigt hur det fungerar på den fronten. Ja, det fick jag ju checka upp kan man säga. För det var inte riktigt så. Nej, då. Så att, vad säger man? Nej, jag säger så här att knip nu trut, Kalle, och så går vi in här och tittar på Redacted och deras redogörelse för de här händelserna och vad som har kommit ut ramlande ur de solkiga vecken på den amerikanska fanan. Det är inte vackert, och jag kan försäkra, jag har ingen tanke på att någonsin sätta min fot på amerikansk mark igen. Jag lovar och försäkrar. Varsågod, Redacted.
Tucker Carlson has been dropping a number of bombs, and the deep state is not happy about it. They've been really coming out trying to take him down, discredit Tucker over the past 48 hours. That's what they do when they don't like something. But anyway, stay focused on the actual story, which is what you weren't allowed to see on January 6th, right? The 44,000 hours of footage that you were not allowed to see. And Tucker Carlson has been dropping the beginnings of what we're about to see in the January 6th videotapes. But it turns out federal involvement, that's what we're really interested in. And those pieces are starting to come to light. We all know the Ray Epps story, right? Ray Epps, of course, a Fed who ended up being on the FBI's most wanted list for 1 day. And then he was pulled off of this, right? And why was he pulled off? And as you know, it's interesting because the story goes, and I forget what's his name on Timcast, who was just there. He had a great comment on this, and I'm drawing a blank off the top of my head. But he said the only reason you get taken off of a most wanted list is you die, or you die, or you are, what's the other thing? You die, you're not on the most wanted list anymore, or you are caught, arrested. Okay. Right, or convicted.
Took you a while to get around on that one.
I'm trying to remember his name, and I felt bad. I couldn't think of it off the top of my head.
Like,
say it. Say it.
Oh my God, say it.
So anyway, we all can't be perfect. So anyway,
that's going to come back around to me.
Yeah, oh yeah, just get ready. Karma's a funny way of biting you in the ass real fast.
Bad thing.
So yeah, you know, if you're taken off this list, there's a reason for it, right? Immediately, right? You're a Fed. You're a part of the system. So now we're starting to see pieces of video coming forward of other perhaps federal, you know, agitators, we don't know exactly, whispering people to other members of the police force, people wearing headsets. Like, who wears a headset and just walks around Capitol grounds and then whispers things to police officers, and then police officers start waving people into buildings, right? It's very odd, like all of this that's going on. But because of all of these new tapes, these 44,000 hours of tapes, there are people behind bars, many of whom are poor. They don't have money. They don't have high-powered lawyers to take care of and go through 44,000 hours of footage. So the argument now is let these people out. So Donald Trump, former president of the United States, went on Truth Social saying, let the January 6th prisoners go. They were convicted or awaiting trial based on a giant lie, a radical left con job. Thank you, Tucker Carlson and Speaker of the House, Kevin McCarthy, for what you both have done. New video footage is irrefutable.
Okay. I mean, that's definitely going to endear him to his base, clearly. And, you know, the January 6th committee had recommended criminal charges for Trump based on the video edit that they put together. And so, you know, he maybe is like, can I see some of that? Because I'll put together my own video footage. You know, it would be interesting to now go through this trial by trial and see which of these people were convicted for just being in proximity, like the gentleman that we talk to here often, and which were actually like breaking windows or what have you.
Exactly. And so thank you in the chat for pointing this out. Someone just said it was Chase Patel. Thank you, Neil Friedman. It was Chase Patel. That's right. And Old Man Strength says Ray Epps equals two reasons where you either died or caught or are a confidential informant and working as a Fed with the feds. So they put you on the list and they take you off. You're a confidential informant or you're dead. So those are the two reasons. So now, in these 44,000 hours, what are we going to learn? Well, it turns out we're going to be learning a lot. And this is exactly why they're scared about this. So here is Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, furious, throwing a temper tantrum on the floor of the Senate about the release of this footage. Watch.
I, so many others who were here in the Capitol, and millions of Americans are just furious with Tucker Carlson and Kevin McCarthy today. And he's going to come back tonight with another segment. Fox News should tell him not to. Fox News, Rupert Murdoch, tell Carlson not to run a second segment of lies. You know it's a lie. You've admitted it's a lie. And Speaker McCarthy is every bit as culpable as Mr. Carlson. Speaker McCarthy's decision to share security footage with Fox looked like a mistake from the very beginning. But after last night, it looks like a disaster. Speaker McCarthy has played a treacherous game by catering to the hard right. He's enabled the big lie and has further eroded away at our precious democracy. Last night, millions of Americans tuned in to one of the most shameful hours we have ever seen on cable television. With contempt for the facts, disregard of the risks, and knowing full well he was lying to his audience, Fox News host Tucker Carlson ran a lengthy segment last night arguing the January 6th Capitol attack was not a violent insurrection. By diving deep into the waters of conspiracy and cherry-picking from thousands of hours of security footage, Mr. Carlson told the bold-faced lie that the Capitol attack, which we all saw with our own eyes, was somehow not an attack at all. He tried to argue it was nothing more than a peaceful sightseeing tour. Can you imagine? I urge Fox News to order Carlson to cease propagating the big lie on his network and to level with their viewers about the truth behind the efforts to mislead the public. Conduct like theirs is just asking for another January 6th.
Saxon Steele in our Rumble chat says the cabal is falling apart. You know, it's amazing during the January 6th hearings why we didn't get to hear from certain witnesses who were there, who are on these videotapes, who would have refuted a lot of what we saw, or other, other angles, other pieces of video that would have shown an entirely different story at the January 6th hearings. Why was that withheld? It sounds like Chuck Schumer, you guys were cherry picking video, right?
And so he's saying they're going to inspire them to do this again by telling people they were nice
Right.
That they might be nice again.
Right. Those people are going to attack because
you're telling them they're nice, and then they might do it again.
So it's better than to paint all of them as violent insurrectionists, is Chuck Schumer's plan?
Yes.
So alienate thousands of people who came to the Capitol to hear speeches, and just continue to alienate. That's good.
And, again, this is very confusing, and we should all feel not committed to any narrative about what January 6th was. We should all feel like we want to just see everything and let the narrative come later. But the way the media and politicians now are playing this out is the narrative's in place. You can't see anything against the narrative. And no seeker of truth should be that way. We should not feel like we know everything until we feel like we have all of the information. And I may never get there because I am certainly not going to watch 44,000 hours. How many days would that take? Have we done that math?
I've done the math, yeah. And so the math on that is I did 40,000. So 40,000 hours. Forget the other 4,000 hours. But let's just say 40,000 hours, right, is... If you worked an 8-hour day to watch all of that, an 8-hour day, right, and not even taking a lunch break,
right,
that would be 5,000 days, which is 13 years with no weekends off. Like you would literally just be watching January 6th footage for the next 13 years of your life. Do you want to do that?
I'm going to tell you right now, that's not my future self plan, but they can hire interns.
Yeah, they can hire a lot of interns. So Twitter was being used, of course, as a tool to censor people on January 6th. It was also used as a mob mentality tool. Like, hey, was anyone at January 6th? Send us a photo and tag the FBI, right? That was how it was being used. And, of course, this was pre-Elon Musk. Here's what Greg Price said on Twitter. The January 6th committee lied about how Brian Sicknick died, lied about Barry Loudermilk taking rioters on a reconnaissance mission, lied about Josh Hawley running away, lied about Ray Epps being a credible witness. Right, we now know from this footage. And then Elon Musk chimes in. Besides misleading the public, they withheld evidence for partisan political reasons that sent people to prison for more serious crimes than they committed. That is deeply wrong, legally and morally. And because they didn't allow them to have access to this footage, many of these people are sitting there, in solitary confinement right now. So I had a chance to talk with Brandon Straka. He was there on January 6th. He was there to give a speech. He was invited for a speaking engagement. And when he came out of the subway, he started filming what was going on. And he was then had his life turned upside down. He's been a guest on the show before. The FBI raided his home a few weeks ago and threw him in prison for being on the Capitol grounds that day. So I wanted to get his take on exactly what this video portends and his thoughts on the people that are currently behind bars. Brandon, welcome back to the show.
Thanks for having me.
So just your response. We see the 40,000 hours is now roughly the amount of footage that we're going to see and dive through over the next couple of weeks here, thanks to Tucker getting his hands on this. When you and I last spoke here on the show, we thought it was maybe 16,000 hours of footage, which sounded monumental at best. What's your thought just starting to see some of these initial reports, the QAnon shaman piece coming out, Jacob Chansley, and those types of pieces, and now starting to see more evidence how involved the feds were on that day?
I mean, for me personally, none of it surprises me. I guess I can say that I'm really happy that we're finally getting to a point where the public at large is getting a little more access to information that many of us who have gone through this behind the scenes already instinctively knew in our guts. I mean, when you're a person who's dealing directly with the FBI and dealing directly with the DOJ, and you're seeing the ways in which they're contorting and manipulating and, sort of manufacturing information about a narrative that they're trying to create because they're doing it to you. I mean, they're doing it directly to me. They're doing it to other people that I know who have gone through this. And because I think of the toxicity and the radioactivity of January 6th, it was very, very difficult, even for someone like me who has a lot of media contacts and who's, not terribly controversial and pretty well liked for the most part. It was difficult for me to be able to find platforms to get my story out, to get my voice out, to talk about this. So I'm really happy that the public is now starting to see the counter narrative. And the other point that I guess I'd like to make about this too is that a lot of people on the left are kind of having their meltdown moment. And I'm seeing a lot of comments on Twitter about, we're being gaslighted and we all saw this. We know what happened. Like, nobody's taking that away from you. Okay. I think that a lot of people are having this panic reaction, like they're going to have their victimhood taken away from them. Like, you can continue to be a victim of the narrative of January 6th into perpetuity. No one's taking that away. But what we're saying to you is that there are a great number of people who did not smash windows, who did not get into a fight with a police officer, and did not go to Washington, D.C. on January 6th with the intention of causing any harm or violence or overthrowing the government, and ended up at the wrong place at the wrong time, many of them probably without the knowledge that they were even in the wrong place at the wrong time, and they're being treated like domestic terrorists.
Well, we saw one judge already acquit an individual who was there on that day and who now, because of video footage, showed police officers waving him in, among other people, not just him, and that led to his acquittal. So imagine what other video footage could do to help the people that have been locked up. And I just want to bring out, because you pointed out the DOJ part of this, so we have the Department of Justice now, according to Politico, noting that it has built tools intended to help defendants and their lawyers pinpoint relevant footage by camera angle and time of day. So what they're saying now is that the Justice Department says that we're not going, if anyone's awaiting trial right now, we're not going to delay your proceedings because of the newly released Fox News footage. Like, sorry, we've released our own tools that will allow you to pinpoint relevant footage by camera angle and time of day. You have to use our tools in order to prove your innocence. What? Right. Is this like North Korea?
Well, and also, I mean, we're talking about, now we know 40, 50, 60,000 some hours of footage. And many of these people are sitting in solitary confinement in a prison. So, I mean, I don't really understand how they're supposed to look at this footage. And also, a lot of these people are very low income, poor people, and who are sitting in this jail. They have public defenders. There's no way. And if they could possibly hire a private lawyer, imagine the amount of hours they would be racking up, spending for a legal team to have to go through all this footage, to have to try to find exonerating evidence for these people. And the public defenders are not going to do it, largely because why would they? But second of all, a lot of the public defenders hate their clients. I mean, these are very liberal leftist Washington, D.C. public defenders who are doing the bare minimum, who hate their clients and believe their clients are insurrectionists. I don't see these people scouring through tens and thousands of hours of footage trying to find evidence that would exonerate their clients. But I can tell you that in my case, I was never given access to this footage. And in fact, if you'll recall, in my case, I was initially charged with 2 felonies and a misdemeanor, with the threat of a third felony hanging over my head of the obstruction of Congress felony. And after my case was continued 5 times over the course of a year and dragged out, finally, in the end, what the prosecution presented us with for evidence was my own video. The only evidence that the prosecution had against me was the video that I myself shot. So, and by the way, everyone around me was filming a video. And I find it very hard to believe that there's not security footage from the Capitol facing out from the east side. Now, in my case, I was accused of words. Every crime that I was accused of was a word crime. So I was never accused of, violence, vandalism, theft, or destruction, anything like that. I was accused of the 2 biggest accusations against me. The worst things that I was accused of doing by the federal government was saying the words "go, go." Those were literally those 2, "go, go," and the words "take it, take it." They alleged that I said the words "go, go" to encourage the crowd to enter the Capitol. Now, remember, I was 35 feet away from the Capitol with hundreds of people between me and the open doors of the Capitol. But they alleged that me saying the words "go, go" was encouraging the mob to go inside. And I don't know, perhaps the theory is that January 6th wouldn't have happened had I not said the words "go, go." And also, I was accused of saying the words, take it, while somebody else took a shield from an officer 35 feet away from me. And just for the record, the person also gave the shield back to the officer 6 seconds later. But those were the two like smoking gun pieces of evidence against me. Now, remember, I'm filming the video, and and that's the only piece of evidence in my case. So there is no footage at this point that shows who is saying the words, but that footage exists. It's somewhere. Somebody has video of whose mouths were moving when I allegedly said those things. And, but you know, I've never been given access to any of this footage.
Is that amazing to think? Thank you, Brandon. Like that as a defense. Yeah. Okay, you guys have 44,000 hours, right? The DOJ has gone through with timestamps and all that. We'd like to be able to see that for our client to be able to defend him or herself.
Right. Show me the ones that were geolocated in my proximity.
Cell phone data. Show me exactly where he was. Was he inciting violence? No? Okay, then, you know, sorry. You know, exactly what President Trump was saying. We're done. We're done here. Let these people go. Let us know in the chat. What do you think? Should these people be let out? The people who are not, you know, first of all, don't have money, aren't able to defend themselves, are not being given access to the 44,000 hours worth of footage that they don't want them to see that could, in fact, prove their own innocence.
Well, especially anyone who they just think were there, just showed up, right? And because now there's nuance. So, you know, if you have footage of someone breaking a window or something like that, sure, then let's give them their day in court. But just, you know, trial by association is certainly not appropriate based on, you know, what we're continuing to see.
Overwhelming answers are yes, yes. Get them out of there. Get them out of there in solitary confinement in a very hostile Washington, D.C. You know, that's like being trapped in the enemy's camp, right?
Yeah.
Awful. Thank you so much for watching this segment here at Redacted. We are live every day at 4 p.m. Eastern time, trying to share the stories that the mainstream media will not cover. You should also come over and join our community of Redacted Rebels over at redacted.inc. That's our private locals community where we can share exclusive content that we simply cannot share here on YouTube. Come over and join the rebellion together right now by going to redacted.inc. We'll see you next time.